moved over on northward into the area that is now called Land Between the Lakes, that goes on into western Kentucky. As you pass through a little place called Golden Pond, you might see that historical marker there. And on that historical marker you can read Civil War Sniper, Jack Hinson. And that's followed by just a couple of brief comments about this rather obscure, relatively unknown individual. And some of the information on the historical marker is somewhat in error. Now, I had never heard of Jack Hinson until I read this book, Jack Hinson's One-Man War. I think it is a fascinating story. I think it's much more interesting than fiction. If I had read a fiction story such as this, I might have said, well, now that is an interesting story, but it isn't likely something like that would have actually happened. After reading the book, which seemed to be very well researched over a period of about 15 years, I was left saying to myself, man, was that guy real? Just after I finished reading the book in the spring of 2009, Ed Butler, who I'm sure all of you are familiar with the Tennessee Division, Ed was giving a presentation up at Workburg one Saturday, and I drove up to hear Ed. I knew Ed was from western Kentucky, near where many of the events of this book took place. So I asked Ed if he was familiar with Jack Hinson. Ed said, oh yes, I've heard about Jack Hinson all of my life.